Hello friends, this is the second video with respect to the introduction towards the management. In this particular video, we will discuss about the characteristics and the scope of management. The characteristics of management is broadly divided into three types, that is the important characteristics, the distinct characteristics and the salient characteristics. The last is the scope of management we will be discussing here in this particular video. Let us see the characteristics of the management. Under the characteristics of the management, as I have already said, it is categorized into three broad categories. The first one is the important characteristics. Under the important characteristics, the management is tangible. The management is goal oriented. The management is universal. The management is social process. The management is a group of activity. Under the distinct category, the management is a pervasiveness. Management is a universal. Management is transferable. Management is a synthesis. Management is a multidisciplinary. Management is contingent. Under the salient category, the management is a continuous process. Management is as a career. Management is studied as applied science. Management will guide the people. Management is activating the human activity, the authority and the leadership. Let us see each one of them, how it is important with respect to the management. The first one is intangible. As with the good management, you can increase the production to any extent. You can increase your sales, you can increase your profit. The sky is the limit if you have a good management in your organization. Goal oriented, as we have already discussed, that is, the management is a goal oriented, either it is an economic or non-economic, that is, either it is a profitable institution or it is a non-profitable institution, that is service oriented industry. The goal is very, very important with respect to the management. The management is universal because management is applicable to all business activities depending on the need and the situation. The need depends on whichever the area that belongs to, whichever the region it is there, it is essential to have a management practice in their organization. Social process. Yes, management is a social process because it deals with the peoples first and to make the best utilization of the human efforts for the benefit of society. If the human efforts have been maximum utilization, then the organization can see the goals in a very easy manner. It's a group activity. The people join the group to achieve the goals. It may be individual or group goals. The management must coordinate with respect to the group activity. When it comes to the pervasiveness, the management is involved in all the plays at all levels, either it is within the family or within a team, within a groups or within a school, within the college, within the small organization or within the big business. Thus, it is needed to all the sectors at all the places. It is universality. As it is universal, it is practices will be there all over the world. The principles, the process, the system are the best practices that you have is being utilized with respect to the time either whichever the nation it is, whichever the context it is, and the nature of organization thus makes it a universal. With respect to the management, the Japanese have trained their peoples, or they are using the best practices of the human resource management in their in their country and in their organizations. Transferability, the management practice will be moving from one industry to the other, one area to the other, one country to the other. Hence, the management is transferable from one place to the other place. Synthesis, the management integrates man, material, machinery, and the money. Hence, if your optimum utilization of all these M's can able to give a good result in the industry. It is a multidisciplinary, that is the management techniques does not depend only on the above terms. It is a economics, it is a psychology, it is a sociology, it is a anthropology. All these areas you should know to practice the management in your organization. It is a continuous process. All the managerial process are continuous and carried out on a regular basis, because management doesn't end at any point of time. As a career, the people will take the management as a career, that is specialization in the marketing, finance, or personal, or the HR, the various the professions which they choose depends on the specialization of the subject which they are going to study. Applied science, management is not a natural science like botany or medicine. It is an applied science where you will be applying the economics, you will be applying the psychology of human being at the workplace. Guidance, the management will guide about the optimum utilization of man, material, and the machinery, so that the productivity can increase. The productivity is always the input by output. That is less and less input for a more and more output. The productivity should be less than 1 always to see the good results. Achieving factor. Achieving may be motivating, training, guiding, incentives, rewards, status, security, control, etc. to accomplish the goal. That means the achieving factors are the one which makes them to do better in the organization, so that they will be driving towards the increments and driving towards the success of the organization. Let us discuss about the scope of the management. In the scope of the management, it is very difficult to precisely state the scope of the management, because it is very vast. The scope of the management is a process where by the inputs, outcomes, and the benefits are identified and defined and controlled. Since various elements are involved in that, hence it is difficult to precisely state the scope of the management. Normally the term scope is used in the project management. In the project management, we identify the mission, objectives, procedures, rules, and manipulation of human capital for the accomplishment of the organization goal. Hence, we always say the scope of the management is not with respect to the entire management, it is with respect to the project management, that is with respect to the specific area, if the scope can able to be defined. The scope of the management process is to identify all the works and to successfully complete the project. Under the scope of the management, the first step or the first stage is the collect the requirements, that is the data collection. The data collection is the first step which is very very important. If the data is good, you can able to see the end result. Otherwise it will be difficult for you to see the end result if the data itself is wrong. The second stage is the planning. Once you get the data, you have to define the scope. The scope is either it may be a broad or it may be a specific. The broad scope we call it as a goal, that is long term goal, and the scope may be a short term, that is a short term goal that we will be fixing it. So after this defining the scope, we have to create the WBS, that is work breakdown structure. Here the work will be break down into a small pieces, and every piece or every work, small work, will be analyzed in detail at this particular stage. The next stage is the execution stage, where we verify the scope, whether it is feasible to do it, whether it can be able to give the end result to the project that we have taken up. That will be done in this particular stage, that is execution stage, and they will be converting it, that is the planning, into a reality. They will be doing in this particular stage. And the last stage is the controlling stage, where we control the scope of the work that what we are doing it. Because if you don't have this controlling stage, the entire process will fail, since you don't have a control over the project. Hence, all the stages are important, and it has to go systematically from one after the other to complete the project effectively. Thank you. So this gives you the process of doing the organization, that is the characteristics and the scope is being given in this particular video to you. Thank you very much.